All right, everybody. Hey, we are back, and I guarantee that you're going to love hearing from this next podcaster who is doing some big things out there. Brett Swarts is an entrepreneur, creative real estate investor, podcaster, deferred sales trust educator, trustee, and a North California multifamily broker. His leadership roles include serving as the founder of Capital Gains Tax Solution Podcast, founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and founder of the Commercial Realty Apartment Advisor. He leads a team of extraordinary people at his companies. He served billionaires, doctors, dentists, veterinarians, attorneys, tech entrepreneurs, architects, real estate syndicators and operators, and more to help them create and preserve their wealth through investment in real estate. He leads them through this process by leveraging the optimal timing capital gains tax deferral structure known as the Deferred Sales Trust. Its purpose to help individuals escape feeling hostage to the 1031 exchange and 30 to 50% capital gains tax when they sell their highly appreciated assets such as business, commercial real estate, or primary homes, so they can create and preserve more wealth by focusing on the timeless aspect of being the guide and not the hero. Capital Gains Tax Solutions educational platform inspires and helps high net worth individuals and their trusted advisors put them and help them, such as financial advisors, CPAs, or business brokers, out there execute a passive, active capital gains tax deferral wealth plan of their own. And so we are honored and excited to have the man, the myth, the 1031 exchange legend, Brett Swarts, joining us out here today on Petcha Pod Pitch. How's it going, man?
Hey, Scott, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you, man. Loving the setup. Look at you. Looking great, man.
Thanks. My wife did the wood in the back for the home office, so I'm glad you like it.
Yeah. So let's share a little bit about moving in and launching this thing, getting things rocking and rolling for you. You've been doing this for how long now?
So I've been in the podcast world for about a year now, but mainly as a guest on other people's shows, and so I've had a chance to learn from some of the best as I just observed and was asked great questions, and then decided to give it a launch of my own here.
So I know that. That's why I asked it. Kind of a loaded question for the next one here. There's a lot of people that are looking to expand their audience and looking to get onto the podcast. It's a great way to expand credibility and your audience out there. But I think taking the next step of starting your own show and have your own show going is also, it's a big thing too, and also adds to the credibility there too. And I love what you're doing there. Is that kind of the main reason starting your own thing?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey of a whole new world of not just being local with my commercial real estate business and deferred sales trust business here in Northern California, but now really on a national scale where we get to meet a lot of people from different walks of life in different states all over the U.S. And to say I had no idea where I would be 12 months ago here, it's just an understatement. It's been a fantastic ride and a great challenge and a whole lot of fun too. So yes, that's sort of been the journey here.
Awesome. Now, what would you say has been the biggest thing that's changed for you since making the transition?
Sure, not having to drive around as much and fly. I can stay home with my family more, right? I can. I have 5 kids. My wife and I do here in Northern California. You fight traffic quite a bit in California, and so just being able to connect with people. It's on these videos calls like this. It's on air. It's mass media, right? Not just one-on-one or 1-on-30. A lot of my background, I go and speak at events, right? And I speak at a real estate office or speak at a financial advising office, and it might be 20 to 50 people in an office, and we're educating for an hour and a half. The tough part was it's not recorded, right? Typically, we weren't recording, and two, within 30 minutes, folks have probably lost 50% of that information. So the ability to record something and have it be evergreen, and the opportunity for folks to listen to it at their own leisure, right? Not in the middle of a 12 to 2 work hour where you're rushing around for lunch or appointments. You can listen to it whenever you want. I found that's the way we like to consume. So it's just a great way to be able to give back and add value to folks whenever they want to consume the information.
Yeah. Well, and I think adding the value back to your time is important too. 5 kids, so you definitely don't want to be traveling as much as you used to. And I think getting the audience out to a bigger audience versus 20 or 30 people at a time, whenever you've guests or have your own show, gives you an audience every day to talk with, right?
Exactly. The way I look at it is my daughters and I have four daughters and a son, and they're all 9 and below. And so I have about 18-year window here before they're off doing, changing the world on their own. So I'd like to be with them as much as possible. So it's not only just the time, but it's also the energy, managing the energy, where I have more energy and more life to give to them versus being on the road a lot. Now that doesn't mean I don't jump on planes now to fly across country and do different events in different places and different clients, which is fine, but it's just not the daily, travel. It's more maybe once or twice a month, which is okay, versus more of the daily stuff from before, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense, man. I can vouch for that. When spending 35 weeks on the road down to less is a valuable thing. What's been the biggest surprise with your business from the podcast? Have you seen influx? Have you just seen it amazed you at people reaching out to you? What's been the biggest surprise for you?
Yeah, the biggest thing is for me is not having to, I guess, outbound cold call as much and more inbound. And it's shifted the sales cycle as well as the educational process, because again, it's customized for folks when they want to listen to it at their own timing, and they can rewind and replay and get educated slowly along the process, really develop kind of a relationship. And I'll give you a quick story. We're working on a large deal that we just got the green light we're going to move forward for in Florida. And I flew there and met with these potential new clients. And the first person who walked in said, "Hey, I've seen all of your podcasts. I've watched them multiple times. I feel like I know you." And I was blown away. It was kind of the first, call it the online world, I don't want to say celebrity, but just a little bit more of like, whoa, this is new to me. Like I was expecting to have to build all this rapport and he was just like, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I listen to your stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, that's really neat." So just really breaking down those barriers, I think a lot of times too, if you meet with the client face to face, it can be really intimidating for both sides, right? They're like, "Who is this new person talking about this new thing?" And doing, especially when it's dealing with wealth and big high stake transactions. Whereas if they can, or any of us can listen to something on a podcast or see a video of somebody and get a chance to kind of learn to get to know them along the way, it's not as good as in person, right? But some could say it's even better than in person, because it gives you a chance when you do meet them that you already have a level of trust and comfort because you've got a chance to know them over a period of time. So it's really a whole paradigm shift that I'm going through. I think it's better for the client, honestly. It's much better for me as the educator and salesperson, right? So I think it's just really been a win-win.
That's awesome to hear. It's always nice to be turned into a pod celebrity instead of celebrity, right? But that's the thing, is people do build that rapport listening to you, watching you, and then it makes, you don't have to repeat yourself or start the process of learning over. I hate to say closing on the front end, because it's already basically closed when they've already been listening for a while, right?
Well said, right? 90% of the questions have probably already been answered. And I think there was a survey done, and it's the whole Amazon effect, right? 10, 15, 20 years ago, 90% of the questions were answered by the salesman on either the car lot or wherever you're going to buy something. And you had to go to them to get those questions answered. Now with the internet, of course, and now podcast on a detailed level, 90% is going to be answered up front. And so by the time they get there, it's really, you can more customized. You can take the discussion on another level to really service them. Again, so I think it's better for the client, and it's also better for us, because we're saving our time and energy on that 90% that can be answered just generally, and then we're focusing on the 10% to really help the client and add value.
Yeah, that's great stuff there. Great stuff. Where do you see the podcast going for you here next 12 to 24 months for you, Brett?
Wow. Yeah, great question. Where I see it going. The opportunity just to educate more and more people with clarifying capital gains tax deferral options. That's really our niche, is showing each of the major tax deferral strategies that are out there. And the goal is just to bring more business professionals, and we feel there's really a chasm of clarity out there. It's really hard to know which one does what for who, and we really want to bring on some of the best advisors and top in their industry, and talk about what they've done for their clients, and then kind of compare and contrast. And at the end of the day, have that for the client or the high net worth individual who's selling, and so that they can get clarity on what's best for them, all in one place. And that's really the vision for the podcast. So hopefully, 1,000 to 10,000 business professionals, right? Financial advisors, business brokers, high-end realtors, commercial real estate operators, hopefully another, 10 to 20,000 owners who are selling a high-end primary home, business, or commercial real estate. If we could get, that would be a big win for us. If we can, if they can consume the information, I think they'll really be happy about it, and it'll be a win for us.
Right. I think so. Definitely be a win for you there, right? More clients is always a good thing. There.
Big numbers, right?
With you working on getting on so many podcasts, is there a tip to the other podcasters or people that are looking to get booked that you would recommend that they do, or something you advise them to get booked on more podcasts?
So here's the hook. The hook is this. What is it that you have to offer, and then what story you have to tell? So my hook is, I was at Marcus & Millichap. I was 24 years old, and Marcus & Millichap, for your listeners who don't know, it's an investment real estate firm who sells commercial real estate and some of the best training, one of the largest in the U.S. And I was about, month 6 to 12, and I asked that same question. What could I do to get meetings with these clients or these folks that are much further ahead of me in life? Some of these folks were 50, 60 years old. They're clients that have been in the business for 30 years. Why are they going to want to meet with me or you? What's going to attract them to you? And one of my mentors there said this. They said, the moment you can add as much value or more value to their situation is the moment that they're going to want to meet with you and actually take your call and sit down with you. And in that particular market, it was multifamily investment real estate. So the context was, the moment you know more about their property and the surrounding properties, or at least as much or more than them, is the moment you start adding value. But until you have that knowledge, you're probably just wasting their time. They're doing you a favor by taking the call, right? So that's one. The second one was, until you can find a deal for them, find an opportunity that's going to help them solve their problem or solve a problem for them. So how are you going to add value to their listener base, and how are you going to add value beyond what they've already know, right? And if you're not bringing that to the table, it's going to be hard for them to have you on their show to bring value to their guests. So it's really focusing on value and showing that perhaps you have something a little bit different that they either A, haven't heard before, don't know about, or B, don't have the experience in. So communicate that, right? And that's honestly what I did. I started with I was cold calling still at that point, and I cold called Kevin Butt, didn't answer his phone, so I emailed him. And I just basically said, hey, I've listened to your show, and I had for years. I love your show. It's amazing. And I just kind of spoke to a little bit of what the audience, I was a part of the audience, was looking for. Hey, did you know there's this now? It's called a Deferred Sales Trust. It can save a 1031 exchange. It's an alternative. And he goes, hey, and I said, I'd love to be on your show. If you give me an opportunity, that'd be great. And that one show helped to bridge the gap to the next show, right? And those next two bridge to the next 4. And then before I knew it, I had some podcast bookers who were calling me to book me on other shows. And I said, sure, I've been on 4 or 5 shows. If you can double that rate, that'd be great. And so I had an amazing podcast booker, 2 groups actually, that have done an amazing job. And so since then, it's been about 20, 25 shows in about 8-month period of time. So that's sort of the feedback for you.
Awesome. What's the best way for people to connect with you, get a hold of you, Brett?
The best way is to go to our website, capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, or go to YouTube and search capitalgainstaxsolutions.com, and then LinkedIn as well. You can search Brett Swarts. Those 3 together will connect you with me, and then we could talk more. If you're looking for a way to be an affiliate, right, or add more value to your listeners or your client base, or if you're actually a seller who's selling and is looking for some clarity on the capital gains tax deferral options.
Awesome, bud. Great job, man. Looking forward to the growth, and you keep kicking ass and taking names. All right, brother?
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thanks, bud. All right. Good stuff there.